Imagine sitting at a high-end rooftop bar where every cocktail costs $25 and the table itself required a $300 reservation just to sit down. You are surrounded by people you've known for years, all of whom look incredibly successful with their designer watches and latest phones. But if you actually looked at the bank accounts of every person at that table, you would quickly realize you aren't at a social gathering so much as you are at a performance. Most people are spending their way into poverty just to prove to everyone else that they aren't poor, paying what can be described as a status tax every single day. This is the money spent solely to prove you aren't falling behind, but there is a profound psychological and financial shift that happens when you decide to trade the appearance of wealth for the reality of it. When you stop acting rich for 30 days to actually focus on the real math of your life, you often find that your social circle begins to vanish because you've broken an unspoken social contract built on shared consumption. Consider a typical scenario where someone makes a respectable $85,000 a year but has $0 left at the end of every month because of a $700 car payment, high rent, and expensive weekend obligations. This person is essentially a lifestyle coworker to their friends, living paycheck to paycheck in a designer suit. The transformation begins when you decide to apply a step-by-step investing order to your life, perhaps by selling the luxury lease for a used vehicle and choosing to host friends at home rather than at a steakhouse. At first, your friends might express small concerns or call you a buzzkill, but these comments eventually turn into a deeper friction because your newfound discipline acts as a mirror, reflecting the truth about their own bank accounts. People often don't get angry because you've become cheap. They get angry because you've become a reminder of the potential they are currently wasting. The math behind this social downshifting is staggering when you look at the long-term opportunity costs. If you take that $700 car payment along with $400 usually spent on status-driven dining and invest that $1,100 monthly into index funds at an 8% return, you are looking at over $200,000 in 10 years and roughly $1.6 million over 30 years. While one path allows you to keep the luxury car and the status-seeking friends while retiring with nothing, the other path involves driving a simpler car and losing those lifestyle coworkers to eventually retire as a multi-millionaire. This is the hidden cost of being liked by people who value what you own over who you are. Everything changes even more significantly once you hit the first $20,000 milestone in your savings or investments. Reaching this threshold is a transformative power in personal finance because it marks the point where your money begins to provide a psychological safety net that alters how you view the world. Once you have that cushion, your work anxiety begins to fade, and you no longer feel the desperate need to participate in the status games of your social circle. You realize that the people who judged you for your used car or your budget were never truly your friends. They were an audience you were paying for. As you move toward becoming a silent millionaire, you stop attracting consumers and start attracting builders, people who are more interested in cash flow and equity than in where you went for dinner. In the end, the reality of wealth is often very different from the version presented on social media or in expensive bars. Real wealth is silent, while fake wealth is incredibly loud. Your status tax is likely the highest tax you will ever pay, often exceeding what you pay to the government, because it costs you your future financial freedom. If you stopped acting rich today and your entire social circle disappeared, you didn't actually lose a social life, you simply stopped paying for a performance. The math suggests you can either be rich or look rich, but it is very rare that a person gets to be both at the same time. The choice eventually comes down to whether you want a life that looks good to others or a life that actually feels secure and free to you.